Iain, you read? Did you happen to read some of the excerpts from Ed Hawkins' book, especially the one regarding the India-Pakistan World Cup semi-finals?
Yeah, I've read bits and pieces of what I could, what there has been produced and published. But what I have seen is well, I'm not surprised. You know, a lot of my, I call it boyish naivety. You know, that what goes on in cricket. A lot of that was lost quite a long time ago, and I now look at cricket very differently. I'm now sadly looking for the bits that don't quite make sense. And actually, right the way through that the World T20, right the way through, I saw quite a few things that just didn't add up if you put them all together. If you just saw them individually, you wouldn't have noticed it. But when you know how things are manipulated and how things can be manipulated, I'm not saying that India-Pakistan game was fixed or was manipulated, but I did see things throughout the whole tournament that if that game was manipulated, I wouldn't be surprised. Knowing how betting works, knowing and I'm with Ed in terms of knowing that you can't bet on a no ball and you can't bet on genuine single solitary events. You have to bet on a group or well, a lot of betting is unders and overs. Is the total score going to be above 250? Is it going to be under 250? You can bet on unders and overs. And that also goes for batsmen dismissed. So you can bet on when will the next batsman be dismissed. Will he be dismissed above 20 or below 20? And I saw a lot of those things that just stuck out a little bit to me. And the signal was as simple as changing gloves, changing your bat. And that then informs someone in the know that there possibly will be an under bet coming up. As a batsman, change your gloves. You then maybe be dismissed soon after. And I did see a few of those types of dismissals occur. Coincidence maybe, but it happened too often for my non-naive mind now. For it to just be a coincidence. There looked to be a pattern. I saw it by one person twice in the event and during the competition. And so I start doing the maths, and I just get awkward. I love this game, and it's awkward. Mm-hmm. I spotted a pattern in the IPL that would certainly probably help a couple of people that were gambling on the IPL a couple of years ago, IPL 3. And I spotted a pattern right the way through the whole competition. And I could have made a lot of money if I was allowed to bet at the time, because I spotted the pattern that was happening in that singular IPL. It's changed, and you can't follow that formula anymore. But look, it's there. It's happening.
Iain, what was that pattern?
The pattern was if you lost two. Pretty good odds of you winning the next one, and that happened right the way through the competition. I think you remember that at the end of the tournament, if you won two, you'd also more than likely lose the next one. Whether that was a 405 to 1 chance, or whether that was a manipulation, I don't know. I've seen stuff over here. I've seen stuff inside the county game. Ed in his book refers to Kent at Hove. 40-over match back in 2011. I remember watching that game on TV. Did I watch that with joy? No, not necessarily. There were things that didn't make sense in that game as well. I've seen with my own two eyes live at the ground things happen over here. I've also watched the Big Bash last summer and previous summers. Is there stuff going on that? I guarantee you there is stuff going on in that. There are systems, there are patterns, there are things emerging from all of these competitions, not just in the subcontinent, not just in the Premier League, these T20 ones that are based India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and etc. It's happening everywhere. If it's on TV, it's happening, and that's where can we police it? Can it be policed? I don't know.
Let's say, which are the international teams that are most vulnerable to bookies or match fixers?
Simple answer is the teams that aren't paid the most. A simple answer is the teams at the bottom of the pay scale. Simple answer is the teams that are involved in the most short format versions of the sport. So they seem to be the most, well, certainly the T20s and the 50-over game, and even as the book says, the CB40 games. The white ball format seems to be the where it all happens, if you like. It's cheaper, I think, to make it happen by trying to understand the logistics of it. So therefore, the countries, the teams that play the most versions of those games, I think are certainly more open to influence, and that sadly sort of does lead you to the subcontinent, where there are so many little triangular series. The Sri Lankan Indian games, the Pakistan and one-dayers, and the Bangladesh games. There is a lot of internal white ball stuff played in that part of the world that unfortunately does open itself up to opportunities.
Okay. Iain, during your playing career, were you ever approached by a bookie, or are you aware of any particular instance where a player was approached?
No, I was never good enough to fail. If you had to put money on me scoring more than 20 with the bat, you would have got some pretty goods out there. But, I would never write New Zealanders off as being not involved. I certainly would be. I certainly think there have been occasions, not in international games, but I certainly believe there are occasions and events where New Zealanders have been involved. There's another issue here as well, is that it's not just the players that are necessarily up to mischief. It's part of the team selections too. You can predict the team selection, which will have an influence on the game and therefore on the result. And so it doesn't just stop with the on-field stuff. So if you report this, if you did go about reporting it, and look, I've never seen it as a part of any team that I've played in, but if you were to go and report it, that is probably the end of your career as a player. And therein lies one of the biggest issues. And we take Zalka Haida, apologies for pronunciation, but we take that example, not sure of a lot of the motives, not sure of a lot of the backstory there, but he came out and said, look, it's rife, it's happening. Where is he? No one actually knows where he is. He's friends with everyone on Facebook and Twitter, but no one knows where he is.
And also, the other point is...
We're trying to get out.
Why did match fixing come back into cricket after 2000, after the Clean-up Act? And do you think it ever went out at all, or did it make a reappearance a few years ago?
When did what was the series that was played in the UAE? The one-day games that were played over there.
Sharjah.
When was that thrown out? And we know
about the year 2000, 2001, 2002, I think.
They stopped then.
No coincidence, my dear friend. I absolutely assure you of that. And then when did we start hearing about it again? With the influx of white ball cricket, with the influx of shorter games and more opportunities to maybe influence a part of a game or the result of a game. It's based around the white ball game. It's based around situations and games that don't really have that much meaning. What meaning does an IPL game really have? And that's why it's come back. I think if we knew the name of the people, of the players that were involved, we would be shocked. We wouldn't be shocked as well. But yes, the tiger would die. So if you're in it young, you're in it for life, and that's why I think some of these massive names that are in the sport are still maybe up to no good because they can't get out.